Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to the Sovereign Vibe podcast, where we talk about all things spiritual, the human experience, and everything in between. I'm your host, Renee Louise, and we will be sharing personal stories on the healing journey, how to overcome trauma of all kinds, and then thusly how to feel more confident as a starseed and empath, aka the sensitive, beautiful soul that you are. Let's begin today's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sovereign Vibe podcast. It's the very first introduction video and episode. How are you all doing? My intention with this podcast or project, I'd like to rather call it, is to talk about all things spiritual and all things human experience and normalize our journey, normalize the ups and downs, normalize as much as we can by just talking about it, sharing our stories, hearing everyone's way of processing or modalities that really connect with them, that may connect with you. So yeah, I've wanted to create this space for over a year now, and it's been up and down in terms of working through my own stuff, even imposter syndrome or perfectionism, what have you. So I'm here, I'm showing up, and my intention too is to be as real as I can with you. And some days, as there will be video of the podcast here on YouTube, you can see me raw, and I probably won't always look glamorous. I'll be real and show up and talk about the things that are happening in the collective, what's coming through. So we're here to have fun. Everyone is welcome, empaths, starseeds, sensitive souls, however you feel connected and identify. I also will be having guest speakers on and interviewing them about their journeys, about how they've transformed their lives, how they have overcome what's been on their pathway and what has been challenging and what they're still working through, because we're always working through something, right? If we're not working through something, we're either just floating or we're in an avoidance, or we're already moved on to another life and not in the human form, right? So yeah, here we are. So as I'm recording this, it is the Gemini new moon. So I have my oracle deck here, the Sovereign Vibrations. We'll do a little reading at the end. But this introduction video, I wanted to also introduce myself for many of you that are new to me or to this channel, Sovereign Vibrations. I am here channeling for you. I have kind of going back into my backstory. I grew up very, very sensitive, but it was never nurtured. I grew up in a house with a lot of undiagnosed mental illness and had to learn to grow up very quickly. And it has been a process of relearning how to trust myself, like for many of you, I'm sure. And growing up, I quickly turned off my sensitivity, especially to sight. There was a lot coming at me at once. And so it was a process of embracing spirituality throughout my years, but I was also raised in a religious split household. My parents divorced when I was very young, and it was contrasting a spiritual yet mixed with mental health issues, and then very religious, very you are lovable if you do X, Y, and Z. So it was very challenging until I got into my 20s, where I could discover what felt right for me. And I was introduced to Reiki healing, and that shifted so much for me. I quickly learned how to do it because I just fell in love with it. And then all of my sensitivities just bursted open a little too much at the time, maybe, but it was definitely what I needed. We always are given what we can handle, even though we feel like it might be a lot. And so yeah, I began channeling the Arcturians, which are higher intelligence and extraterrestrials, if you will, if you're not familiar with the Arcturians. or starseed energy. I found out I was even channeling them when I was following Daniel Scranton, and it was always one night of the week, I think it was on a Sunday, it would hit me where I'd get all this information coming in, and then Daniel Scranton would post something and it was almost verbatim the same information. And I was just like, oh, there's something to what I'm feeling and getting. So, and some of you have even said you get similar downloads from what I share, which is so cool. I just love how connected things are and the synchronicity of everything. So if you ever do have a synchronicity happen, I would love to hear about it if you feel like sharing. It just brings me so much joy. I nerd out on that kind of stuff too. Um, so yeah, going back a little further, so I'm a little rambly about all of this, but now that I'm opening up to just chatting, it feels so freeing. So it's fun. So bear with me. Where was I? Oh, so I got into school for fashion design and then had a near-death experience that made me shift how I wanted to be in the world, how I wanted to help people. And I could see very quickly that the fashion industry wasn't the right place for me. I still have a huge connection to it and have a lot of projects that I do want to work on and some things I have done, but I quickly pivoted into doing hair and becoming a hairstylist, getting trained. And it was a lot for me in terms of connecting with people because I am so sensitive. I had to really learn how to take care of myself while holding space for people to share their life story while doing a service like someone's hair. It was quite a journey. I learned so much and I still love it, but I was guided to step away from it during the pandemic to really go full force into my company, into channeling, into this oracle deck, into all these other creative projects that I have and helping people guide them through their journey, through their activations, through their healing. So it's been quite a process, I would say, like for most of our lives, right? We don't know how it's going to unfold until we just follow those intuitive hits. And it's definitely been challenging, but so rewarding. Um, but yeah, I've had a slow progression into the spiritual world in terms of my business, in terms of these projects. And it definitely has come with a lot of contrast, I would say, in sharpening my discernment. And if you're feeling like you're having trouble trusting yourself and navigating through your spiritual journey, that's why I'm hoping this podcast can help shed light on how to connect better to yourself, how you can discern what modalities might speak to you. Some people love light language. Some people don't enjoy the sound of light language. Some people love sound baths. I know people who do not enjoy them, right? And everyone's different. Not everyone that's spiritual meditates. It's not a prerequisite. There's no cookie cutter way. We can sometimes think there is, and I definitely did think that in the beginning, and sometimes probably still do, where it's like I have to show up a certain way, create certain content. But I think that's what we're remembering how to do through creating from what excites us. And to me, creativity is a huge part of spirituality because we're creating constantly. So not even if you don't feel like you're creative, you're still creating. We create our lives, we're co-creating, right? So it's letting ourselves off the hook in terms of being right or wrong about anything and having that compassion, having those kind of darker moments to then see the light and the process of why we get to continue to be here and explore who we get to show up as and who we want to be and who we want to be around and all of what life holds. So that's a little bit about me. I will continue to share more of the details of myself so that we can all get to know each other. And if you feel guided to comment about your journey, I also have a couple other guests and clients that have agreed to come on and share what they've been working on and how like even shadow work works for them. And if you're not aware of what shadow work is, I like to think of it as a way of loving the aspects or learning to accept the aspects that we usually hide from, that we usually are afraid to show or share, or that we deem in society as wrong. Even like anger, for example, we can have a lot of stigma and taboo energy around outward anger. Of course, we never want to direct it and hurt anyone, but letting anger out instead of stifling it can be so cathartic and healing if we do it in the right way. So that was just an example. But I feel guided to pull a card for us today to quickly end off this little intro episode. Again, I thank you all for being here, and I will have certain themes for these podcast episodes. They'll come out every Friday. And if you have any topics that you'd love to dive in on, please let me know, comment below. You can email me as well at sovereignvibration7@gmail.com. But let's see clear what card we're meant to connect with for the collective energy. The card for this intro episode. I'm guided to share a little bit about my oracle deck if you haven't become aware of it. It's Sovereign Vibrations Oracle. I was guided to make this card deck in the pandemic. So it's a 63 card deck with a guidebook, and each card has a sound bath created for it. So you go into the guidebook and there's a QR code on each card's page with its corresponding description. There's an affirmation and then a little intention to reflect upon, a little kind of homework or some spiritual insights to do. And with each sound bath, you get taken to my website that then has a visual of the card's artwork, and it has some movement going on with it. So it's a visual and auditory experience. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it if you feel called to it, and enjoy this card that we get here. Oh, she came flying out. We get the Earth Star chakra. Or sorry, not the Earth Star, Soul Star. Soul Star. The affirmation is, I merge deeper with my higher self and divine nature of being. I'm grounded in sovereign love and connection. So if you can see on YouTube, if you're watching the video, you can see this card's graphic. Feel guided to pull one more too. With this Gemini new moon, I've been seeing a lot of how we are learning to balance our identity, balance a new way of interacting with ourselves, and thus how we interact with the world, how we interact with our loved ones, or just what's happening on a collective level, even in general, because there's so much happening, right? But we're learning how to confidently balance. I'm hearing even our emotions and our intellect. The Gemini sign is an air sign. So to me, that it's helping us master our mind too, or balancing our heart and our mind together as well. Let's see what other info. We get emotional healing. Beautiful. The affirmation is, I release all that no longer serves me with love and gratitude. I inhale love and exhale forgiveness. Forgiveness has also been coming up a lot, connecting even with my clients, with even myself for personal reasons, in terms of sometimes we can be so hard on ourselves that we need to forgive ourselves for our inner talk or just how we're managing a situation, right? Go guide for another one. I love a set of 3 oracle cards in one. I don't know what that is. It's a nice, like, even though it's an odd number, I like 3 cards. What else do we need to know? I'm curious too if you guys have a favorite oracle deck, if you guys work with cards. I love doing oracle cards first and then going into the tarot to really like suss out and kind of peel back even deeper what's coming to the surface from the oracle cards. The third card we got is the Dragon's Breath. I love this card so much. The affirmation is, each inhale and exhale transforms my reality. I am one within my power. And I love that we get an emphasis on the breath today, because again, Gemini being the air sign, we get to use our breath to help us tap into our power, tap into our connectivity of our soul, of higher states of consciousness, and to heal our emotions, heal the mind, heal. I'm seeing like the chakras as well, the solar plexus, healing our confidence, healing maybe what's coming up for you while we're balancing this dualistic energy with a Gemini new moon, right? New moons can bring up a lot of our shadow aspects because we get the dark moon right before the new moon, and we can't see the new moon until it starts waxing, right? When it gets bigger. Or is it waning? I think waxing is bigger. Let me know. I think. But yeah, so it can bring up a lot of our insecurities. It can bring up a lot of what we've been even working on since the last new moon or even since the full moon, and showing us a new side or a new layer of our subconscious that's ready to come forward, ready to be seen and loved and accepted and just sat with, right? Sometimes we can't always love or accept a part of ourselves or some contrast. But if we give it space, it lets it breathe literally and transform. We get to feel it in our body. And I don't know about you guys, but even with this balancing of the duality with the Gemini new moon, there's a lot of fight or flight I've been seeing with people, with myself even, that the body is getting triggered and going into this state of trying to survive because we're breaking out of comfort zones. We're feeling things we haven't felt before. We're feeling even multiple emotions of contrast at once. And that's weird, right? So it's be gentle with the body, be gentle with what you need in terms of rest, or if you need to get out in nature more, whatever that looks like for you, just take time to integrate and reflect. Sorry, the bus just went by my house right now. Oh, so take the time that you need, right? New moons also, since we can't see the moon, it's all about going in and feeling, journaling, whatever is calling to you. It's safe to do. I give you the permission to investigate, to maybe you're meant to connect with dragons. I was even guided to wear this beautiful dragon earring that a friend of mine made. I'll actually tag her in the notes. But so maybe you're new on your spiritual journey and you're like, what do you mean dragons? Yeah, we can connect with dragons on our journey energetically. And there's even dragon oracle cards. I've seen more dragons with people's spirit teams than I have any other animal, to be honest with you. So, yeah, but I'm feeling that we're getting this grounding while also, again, ascending into our connecting with our higher self. So the more that we ground and connect with our breath and our body, the more information and healing we can have. Because again, we're giving space. We're also trusting in the universe by connecting with that oneness of our breath, with our unity consciousness. I feel like the breath is great for that. So take time to reflect, and thank you for being here. I'm just so excited for what's to come. I honestly wish I had started this sooner. I feel silly for how scared I was because it's just, we're creating what we want, right? And we get to have fun with it. There are no rules. I think because so many people have podcasts, I was like, oh, it has to be this way and that way and blah, 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 blah. No, we get to do what we want when we want it. Here we go. All right, everyone. I'm so grateful you're here, and I'll see you next week. Next week, I will be sharing my beautiful friend Maggie with you all, talking about her journey. She's a beautiful transformational coach, and we go really deep into the journey, into fun spiritual stuff and human stuff. We get into it. So stay tuned, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.